Dallas, when did you first go to sea?
I went to sea in September 1949 on the Dalby.
On the Dalby?
Out of Carrington. First ship out of Newcastle after the miners' strike.
Right. And how old were you when you first went to sea, mate?
17.
17.
17 when I first went.
And you told me a while ago, you only went for a while.
Yeah, I went a bit silly.
Yeah.
And then I gave it away in 52.
Yeah.
And got married in 54.
What ship were you on in 52? What was your last one in 52?
The last ship I was on was the Caloundra.
Yeah.
An XB boat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
An XB boat. I was bucko on that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd done I'd been seaman on the Willie Mac.
On the Willie Mac?
On the Willie Mac.
I'm going to tell you a while ago, I've got the bell off that. We've got a private maritime museum up in northern New South in Kyogle. I got the bell off the Willie Mac.
Off the Willie Mac,
yeah. And you gave it away from 52 until when, mate?
Until I went back to sea in 75.
Oh, yeah. And what did you do in them intervening years?
I worked driving interstate trucks.
Oh, yeah.
Worked in wool sheds, various labouring jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And then we went to Orange in 62 till 74, where we ran a boys' home.
Yeah, right.
And then we came back here, and I went back to sea in 75.
But now you had a little bit of a change in your seagoing career there, didn't you?
A little bit, mate, but the sea part of my life was always paramount. I never got it out of my system. It's all I ever wanted to do was go to sea.
So when you came back to sea, what did you come back as and on what?
Well, I was fortunate to get away as spud barber.
Yeah.
Through the help of John next door, Johnny Quinn, and I got away as spud barber on the Iron Flinders.
Iron Flinders, yeah.
Iron Flinders, and I was about 75. I was about 40. What would I have been then? 43.
Yeah.
I think. And if I could have swum home, I would have, mate. Because I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was with the notorious chief cook, a bloke by the name of Painless Potter.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him, yeah.
Painless.
Yeah.
And I learned very fast, I'll tell you, mate. I learned fast.
Yeah. And how long were you on the Flinders for?
I must have done this. I must have done 6 months on that to get my spud barber's time in. Yeah. Because the next ship I joined was the Iron Kerry. Oh, yeah. And I got the second cook's job on that, so I had to have 6 months sea time in on the Flinders. Yeah. Yeah, right. And how long did you go to sea then for? Well, I gave it away in 94.
94, and what was your last job then?
13 years on the Iron Prince.
Iron Prince.
Iron Prince.
Oh, BHP boy, eh?
BHP, mostly BHP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and what type of ship was the Iron Prince?
Iron Prince was a general purpose ship with 3 cranes. Yeah. And it was designed to carry 60-foot lengths of, they doubled up the crane, 60-foot lengths of railway line to northwest, to places like Port Hedland. But we carried everything, wheat, sugar, magnetite, steel, everything, mate. Run to New Zealand mostly. Yeah.
What question I didn't ask, what made you go to sea?
Fell in love with going to sea when I was about 3-year-old in Newcastle, looking at all the ships. All I wanted to do was go to sea.
Same as me, mate. I just followed in my old man's footsteps.
That's right. Well, my grandfather was a mate on the Clippers. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it might have been a little bit in my blood, but no, it's always the only thing I ever wanted to do, really, Wayne, was go to sea, mate.
So you would have been about 62 or 63 when you retired?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, about that. Yeah, about 63. Yeah. That was that. They were giving us the golden handshake. Something like that.
And what were the conditions like when you first started off, and then when you came back? The big difference.
Oh well, the big difference was single cabins when we came back. Everything was an improvement, mate. It was just, I couldn't believe the difference. Like we weren't all in together. You virtually got anything you wanted in the way of food, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
And the boys that had fought for the conditions,
yeah,
in the years when I had given it away, they had provided me with a terrific setup when I went back.
Yeah. Now this one's really going to get you because being a ordinary seaman on decking at the start off with, and then going as cook. What was the food like on your first jobs?
I must admit that what I can remember of it, it was adequate. It was different. I remember everything used to come into the mess rooms just in kits.
Yeah.
We didn't front up at the galley at all.
Yeah.
It was just put into the mess rooms and you ate from kits.
Yeah.
So a bit different to when we went back and you came up to the slide and you ordered what you want. Yeah. And you didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
That's right, when I first went away. It was just there, a couple of dishes, and that was it.
And when you come back and that, seeing the opposite side of things from the cook's point of view, what was the food like then that the ship owner provided? Because I know a lot of cooks I sailed with rejected a lot of food that the ship owners would send down saying, no, that's second grade, take it back.
Well, I must say that occasionally we might have sent something back, but on the whole it was pretty good, mate. No, I had no complaints, put it this way. I was chief cook, I think, on that Iron Prince for the 13 years, and I got anything I wanted, practically. Within the guidelines of BHP, we didn't get lobsters and stuff like that. But whatever we were allowed, it was good stuff, you know.
So now, in your time in BHP, did you ever come across the infamous malnutrition Jack, the chief steward?
Jackie from Port Kembla.
What was his name?
Ding Dong Bell? No?
No, forget Jack's last name, but his son got away as chief steward too, and they called him Starvation.
Oh, Starvation, yeah. I didn't sail with him. I didn't sail with him.
Yeah, no, I had the pleasure of sailing with the pair of them.
I thought you were talking about Jack Bell.
No.
He was notorious.
No. Now, what did the employer provide, like in the way of safety gear, working gear, anything like that?
Oh, nothing to me. Yeah. Nothing to us in the galley.
Yeah, not even when you were on deck, they wouldn't have supplied anything either, would they?
No, when we were on deck, nothing at all, mate. No safety gear at all.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a young bloke on deck, no, nothing at all, mate.
Yeah, you got nothing.
So you would have a better idea of what was provided than me and that lot.
Yeah. So what different types of ships did you mainly just on general cargo ships then?
Or iron ore carriers.
Yeah.
So mostly just general cargo.
So you weren't a tanker man?
I had an unfortunate experience for about 20 days on one tanker.
Which one was that?
The Eastern Enterprise.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't wait to get on
it. No, I was never on it, mate, but I heard about it, yeah.
It was from a cook's point of view. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
Because the storerooms were 2 decks down.
Yeah.
You had to go down and load your gear, and then the bloke in the galley had to be there to press the button to get the dumb waiter to bring it up. And if he wasn't in the galley, you were stuffed, you know. So no. Is this?
Yeah. You would have. Come across a few characters in your time at sea?
Oh, yeah, heaps of characters, mate. Yeah.
Any jump to mind?
Huh?
Well, the bloke on your first ship would have jumped straight to mind. Fang Wright.
Fang Wright, yeah. Fang told me when I was a young bloke not to mix with the ABs. He said, I'll make a good seaman out of you. And he was very tough. He was tough on his crowd. Yeah. And he was a character. You'd have to say that Painless Potter, the cook, he was a real character. And they had different ABs that I struck. Georgie Field, old Georgie Field.
Oh, Georgie,
Out of Newcastle.
I was with Georgie on the Triaster when he went over the side and off Nauru and last seen drifting in the general direction.
I heard about that, mate.
I was manning the searchlight that night to find him.
Fair dinner,
And when we got him, he was in a kid's like a blow-up pool. He wanted to check it. That's what he's with a bottle of scotch, and that's all he had. We found him. Thank Christ. If not, he'd have been lost because little dot like Nauru out in the middle of nowhere.
That's right, mate. Yeah, I heard about that story. Well, I was with him for quite some time. Yeah, he was a character. Oh, Wayne, there's too many of them, mate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They just another terrific bloke I sailed with was the bosun, one of the best seamen ever, I reckon, on the Iron Prince. lives in New Zealand now, gone back to sea in New Zealand. Fred Slater, a terrific bloke, Londoner, but lived in New Zealand for heaps of years. But he was a terrific bloke, mate.
Didn't come across him.
No.
In your time at seeing that, you had a few highs and lows, a few good times, a few bad times?
Mainly the bad times were through weather.
Yeah.
When we were on the Iron Arnhem.
Yeah.
Going across the Tasman.
Yeah.
And you couldn't stand up, you couldn't sleep, you couldn't walk.
Yeah. Because she was originally built for the Groot Island, bloody running up around there.
Running around in a canal somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. She wasn't built to go across Bass Strait.
No, so I was on that for about 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
A couple of notorious cooks on that too. I won't mention any names probably.
Yeah.
There were good times.
Yeah.
Wayne, generally.
Yeah. In your time, so what did the Seaman's Union of Australia mean to you, and how did it have your effect on your life and your family life?
Well, it meant everything to me. Wayne, why I suppose I left going to sea because I fell in love and got married, and thought it wasn't the thing for me to do, but it always held first place in my life, the early training through unionism and attitudes and work relationships with other blokes, everything to me. And I wouldn't be sitting here today where I am today if it wasn't for the Seaman's Union and the SRF, mate.
That's a lot of us in the same boat, mate.
Mate, I'm eternally grateful to the Seaman's Union and, to the blokes who shouldered the burden for all those years. That I benefit from, So I've tried to put as best a little bit back that I can now by being involved with the veterans, and being political and trying to ensure that the workers of today have got a fair go as well.
Oh, yeah, mate, because this little fella in Canberra ain't giving us a fair go.
We've got to get rid of that little fella,
have
mate. We do what we can up here to get rid of him.
We're trying our hardest down there too, mate, believe me.
Yeah, but no, mate, I just can't speak highly enough of it. And that's why I try and tell everybody that they ought to be involved in a union, because look what our union, the conditions they got, the wages they got,
that's right,
the retirement we got, and the good that they've done helping other seamen from other nations, in all that time when they were fighting for wages and that for blokes on these flags of convenience and helping the Greek seamen. No, terrific, mate.
Yeah. And in your time at sea, you would have come across a few disputes and that on board the ship or ashore? Or?
Oh, yeah, we had plenty of disputes, and we had to be sensible in what we were doing. And I think when things got a little bit really serious, well, then you had to get in touch with the officials at home, and they'd say, back off or stay where you are. And so that was main. I was always trying to be a steady influence to say, well, let's get our facts right first, and get in touch with the officials and see what they say we should do, Because you did get some hotheads. And blokes who just... And the biggest hotheads were the blokes that you never saw at union meetings.
No, that's right, Jack her up,
Yeah, that's right.
Then they'd ask you when you would go, what happened at the stop work meeting?
That's right. Yeah, one bloke we had on the Iron Prince, he was always agitating for Jack her up, but never ever once saw him at a stop work meeting. So... You had to be sensible, didn't you?
Yeah. Just going back to characters you've met, and we mentioned one a while ago too, and he was also official of the Cook's Union. Lester
Murphy.
The infamous Lester Murphy.
Yeah, I never sailed with Lester, but I heard lots of stories about him. And I believe he must have been a very good man at his trade too. And I must say that I met some terrific cooks. The old chap that was my mentor that taught me how to make pastry and bread, a bloke by the name of Alan Hyland. An ex-Sydney man, very strong unionist. I think back in the 1930s he might have sorted quite a few blokes out on the ships who were, nearly being in the scab category.
Well, a bloke I done the other day, or a couple of weeks ago, 93-year-old bloke by the name of Joe Miller, out of Sydney.
Yeah, I don't know him.
He was. He told me how he used to cockatoo a couple of blokes. No, and how he cockatooed for 3 blokes that went on board the Zealandia, which was an old passenger ship. Yeah. 3 of them sorted 16 out in the mess room because she was one of the first ships that was full of scabs, and then they got rid of them all out there and put Union blokes back in it. Right. Yeah.
Well, Alan Hyland, he was a character, and he ended up his days living in Adelaide.
Oh, yeah.
And I sailed with him, and he was marvellous to me. He was chief cook, and I was second cook with him on the Iron Arnhem. But yeah, he was a beauty.
Yeah, with the next couple of questions, you mainly covered all them, in one, with the SRF and that, and the leave system. Oh, the leave system, I suppose. You would have noticed a big difference in the leave system when you came back to sea.
Oh, yeah, well, when I first went away, there was no leave system.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And we used to just front up at the pickup.
Yeah.
And line up for a job, and if they didn't like it, well, you didn't get picked.
That's right.
And then you could pay off when you liked, and you got a handful of money. Yeah. When you blew that, you went back and got another job. Yeah. But when I went back this time in '75, the SRF was in place.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was there, mate. When I walked up that gangway in '75, I didn't have a clue what was going on, and being very nervous too, being first trip as a third cook.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were out at the home at Orange, we used to do a bit of cooking and that out there as well. But it was nothing like you had to front up and create proper food 3 times a day. 7 days a week.
Yeah, that's right.
So I learned fast.
Yeah. And what's the effect of you going to sea? How did it have on your family's life and that?
No, real good. We had a real good understanding.
Yeah.
And provide you trust each other.
Yeah.
And do the right thing. There was no problem. That was always nice to come home.
A lot of the wives I've talked to, and I've got a couple of them down, of my mother and Joey Patterson's wife and that, said the main thing was the disruption when you come home, because they had everything down right, pat, and then you come home from sea, and that was it. The kids would be,
No, well, that didn't. Well, our kids were. Well, he was one of them. He was still at school. But no problems there. Mate. I know what you mean.
I know with us there's 8 of us.
Yeah.
And I don't think Mum and Dad had TV, because every time we come home, and there's about a year gap between. Yeah.
No, we had a good understanding.
Yeah. So, you're in the vets group and that there, and what you'd have to have some sort of idea of what's going on around the industry today. What do you think of what little industry we've got left?
Well, very disappointed. I think that we've got no ships still running around the coast, thanks to Johnny Howard.
Yeah, that's right.
But evidently, from what I've heard, there seems to be plenty of work around, even if it's not on ships, but it'd be up and down, wouldn't it?
There is in the offshore. There's a lot.
Yeah, but it's most disappointing to think we haven't got Australian ships.
Yeah, well, that was a question. Was a while ago. A&L and BHP. When you would have first went to sea, and when I first went to sea, A&L had 33 ships.
BHP had 30 something ships.
Well, A&L is now owned by the French CMA CGM.
Yeah.
They've got one Australian manned ship called the A&L Bass Trader. It just runs between Melbourne and Bell Bay. But all the other ones that came in, they're all named after old A&L ships, like one that came in the other day, the A&L Urunga, the A&L Explorer, the A&L Empress. Well, the A&L Empress, how big a heap of garbage she was, because I'm on the tugs in Melbourne, she had 3 main engine failures in 2.5 hours. She had a main engine failure alongside the wharf in Swanson Dock.
Yeah.
She had a main engine failure as she backed out into the Yarra River. And 2.5 hours later, we were doing another job. And I heard on the radio the pilot say to Harbour Control, I've managed to get her going again. So 3 in 2.5 hours she had main engine failures. But they named them all after old Australian National Line jobs, and they still got the green and gold funnel. They've got a big A&L on the funnel, a big A&L on the side of them. And their containers are now got CMA CGM in big blue letters right down the side of it. But up the top, they've got A&L, Total Cargo Care down the side of it, and they promote themselves as that's Australian for shipping.
Yeah, I didn't know that,
no,
Wayne.
That's A&L. And BHP are owned by South Africans now.
Yeah, because you still see the Iron Yandy.
Yeah, well, that's owned by CSL.
And CCAP, I don't know who runs that little thing.
No, BHP as a shipping company is a non-entity no more.
And what about the Iron Duke?
No, she's gone.
Is it?
Yeah, she went. The only iron boat that was owned by
Monarch,
the Monarch now is still going. She's owned by Blue Scope Steel, which used to be a subsidiary of BHP, but I think it's out on its own by now. But no, she just...
So the coast that I knew, even when I finished, there was still quite
even when
a few
you finished,
ships around, mate.
We'd be lucky to have a handful of ships in that. The Stolt Australia went not so long ago and has come back on the coast.
I saw that.
Well, she's come back on the coast trading.
Saw that campaign with the boys.
And the River Yarra and the River Torrens, which got put off the coast, got sold to CSL, which was Chris Sorensen, which is also the bloke who originally owned them was the Prime Minister of Canada, Martin.
All right.
They're back trading on the coast. Matter of fact, for ships that had no cargo, they were double banked in Melbourne the other day. Both the cement berths were full. The Stadacona, which is the old CSL, which is the old Yarra River, was down at one berth, and the CSL Pacific, which was the old River Torrens, was up at the other berth. They're manned by Russians or Ukrainians and that.
Good,
and you might have seen Today Tonight or there was a special they did on it, and one of the ABC's done it on it. Four Corners, I think it was, on the state of the coast and that. And they interviewed a chief engineer who was on the Russian chief engineer who was on the CSL Pacific, and he says, I don't know how the Australians ever run this with 17 men. He said, I can't run it with 30. He said, this is, and he's looking for the right word. Antiquated was the word he was looking for. He said all the self-discharges he'd been on were modern ships, and these ones were like the Ark. So I don't think that poor bugger would have lasted around.